I want you to think about a trap that, well, that almost all of us fall into. You know the exact feeling I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely.
It's that sneaky, persistent little voice in your head that whispers things like, I'll finally be happy when I get that promotion, or
Mm.
I'll really appreciate my life once the weather clears up,
Once
or
I have just a bit more money in the bank.
exactly. It's this constant, exhausting cycle of waiting for the external world to magically align so that you are finally permitted to feel good. We are essentially putting our own happiness on layaway, waiting to pay it off with future circumstances.
It is an incredibly common trap. In
Ah.
fact, it's pretty much the default operating system for most of modern society. And it is exactly what we are dismantling today.
Yes, we are.
For this deep dive, we are pulling from a really fascinating collection of excerpts from a source called The Frequency of Appreciation, From Observation to Creation. Our mission here is to explore the actual mechanics of appreciation. And just to be clear right out of the gate, we are not talking about simply saying a polite thank you when someone holds the door for you. We are talking about a profound, deliberate shift in your inner frequency.
I love that goal because this deep dive really is designed to take you from being a passive observer, just sitting around waiting for life to happen to you, and transform you into an active creator of your own reality.
It's a complete paradigm shift. I mean, most people believe that their emotions are just a readout of their environment. This material argues the exact opposite.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core premise here totally flips the script on how we usually navigate our days. It argues that finding appreciation in the present moment is about shifting your inner frequency rather than constantly trying to adjust your outer circumstances.
Yeah.
Think of it like putting on a brand new pair of glasses. Instead of staring at what is missing or broken in your life, you're actively choosing to acknowledge what is already functioning. But how does that actually work in practice?
To really understand the mechanics, we have to look at what the author calls the law of assumption, or the emotional first approach. This is the bedrock of the entire philosophy.
The bedrock.
Right. It requires making a firm, conscious choice that your internal state is completely independent of your external environment. The author draws a very sharp line between two types of people, the reactor and the creator.
A reactor being someone who just, well, reacts to whatever is thrown at them.
Precisely. A reactor is someone who waits for the world to change before they allow themselves to feel good. They need the traffic to part like the Red Sea, their boss to be in a fantastic mood, and, I don't know, their coffee to be perfectly brewed before they can experience a single ounce of joy.
Their emotional state is entirely held hostage by their surroundings.
Exactly. A creator, on the other hand, decides to feel good first. They choose their internal state proactively, regardless of what chaos is happening around them.
Hold on, let me play devil's advocate for a second. If I am having a genuinely terrible day, say my car broke down, I'm late for a crucial meeting, I spilled that perfectly brewed coffee all over my shirt, am I supposed to just, decide to be happy? Isn't that just toxic positivity?
That's a great question.
Because it sounds like completely suppressing my real emotions and slapping a fake smiley face on a disaster.
That is a crucial distinction to make. No, this is absolutely not about toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is denial. It is pretending the car didn't break down or pretending you aren't frustrated.
Right.
The emotional first approach isn't about denying reality. It is about cognitive reappraisal. You acknowledge the flat tire, you feel the initial frustration, but you refuse to let that flat tire dictate your baseline frequency for the rest of the week.
You don't let it ruin the whole day.
Right. You handle the external problem, but you deliberately return your internal state to a place of neutral or positive observation.
So you don't wait for the universe to give you permission to feel okay again. You just take the wheel back.
Exactly. You are regulating your nervous system rather than letting the environment regulate it for you. So, for you listening right now, consider this. When you are having a stressful day, which camp do you usually fall into? Are you waiting for the storm to pass so you can finally feel peace? Or are you generating your own peace while the storm is raging?
That is such a powerful mirror to hold up. And luckily, we aren't just left hanging with these abstract ideas. The source provides a highly practical toolkit to actually execute this shift.
Yeah, the lists are fantastic.
The first big takeaway is a list of 30 external, tangible things to appreciate right now. What stood out to me is that these aren't grand, once-in-a-lifetime milestones. We aren't talking about winning the lottery or finally buying a house. We are talking about sensory and environmental elements that are sitting right in front of you right now.
It's about anchoring yourself in the tangible world. When you focus your attention on immediate physical realities, you interrupt the mind's tendency to wander into the future to find anxiety, or into the past to find regret. Let's look at some of the categories provided, starting with nature.
Nature is a huge one. It mentions things like the rhythm of the seasons, the smell of the air just after it rains, or even just stopping to look at the sheer complexity of a tree's bark.
Oh, that's a good one.
But my absolute favorite image from this section is the appreciation for the persistence of grass growing through concrete.
It is a wonderful image because it represents life insisting on itself, regardless of the obstacles.
Yeah.
Moving from the natural to the constructed, we have the category of modern comforts. These are the things we are most guilty of taking for granted.
Definitely.
Indoor plumbing, the simple flick of a light switch, the softness of a bed at the end of a long day.
And the refrigerator. The author specifically points out the reliability of the refrigerator. But I have to ask, if someone is really struggling, say they're stressed because they can barely afford rent or groceries, how does appreciating a refrigerator actually help them? It feels like it could be almost insulting to someone in pain.
That is a very fair point, and it goes back to how our brains process threat. Our mammalian brain doesn't really know the difference between a physical threat, like a tiger chasing us, and a modern psychological threat, like a late rent check.
Wow, okay.
When you are stressed about money, your brain is in full fight or flight mode. It is scanning the environment exclusively for lack and danger.
It's basically putting blinders on you.
Right. So, taking a moment to appreciate the hum of the refrigerator, or the clean running water, or the warmth of a heater is not about ignoring your financial reality. It is a biological hack.
A biological hack.
Yes, it forces your brain to catalog undeniable evidence that you are currently safe, sheltered, and supported in this exact second. It short-circuits the panic response so you can actually think clearly enough to solve the rent problem.
That makes total sense. It's like resetting the breaker in your house. And speaking of modern miracles, the list mentions the internet. The fact that you are streaming this audio right now, pulling invisible data through the air, it is literal magic that we just accept as normal.
It truly is. The breakdown then guides us to the senses. The crisp, sudden snap and taste of a fresh apple. The melody of a favorite song that instantly changes your mood. The vibrant color of a piece of clothing you love to wear.
The scent of morning coffee. I mean, is there anything better to ground you in the present moment?
Probably not.
And the feeling of a hot shower. I know for a fact that a hot shower alone is enough to shift my mood on a bad day.
Absolutely. Then we move into human ingenuity. We were surrounded by the brilliant ideas of others that have materialized into our reality. Think about the engineering of a bridge you might drive over every day, the artistry hidden within the pages of a book, the ergonomic design of a simple chair, or the convenience of a car.
Someone had to dream those things up. The architecture of your local library or the craft of a well-made tool. Someone spent years perfecting that, and now we just get to effortlessly enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Which leads perfectly into the final external category, social echoes. These are the subtle reminders that we are part of a larger human fabric. A stranger smiling at you on the street, the sound of laughter drifting over from a nearby table.
The history stored in old buildings, and this one really stopped me in my tracks. The humbling fact that someone else, somewhere, grew the food you ate today. You didn't have to till the soil, plant the seeds, or harvest the crop, but you get all the nourishment.
What's fascinating here is the psychological mechanism at play. When you systematically focus on these tangible anchors, you instantly ground your mind. You are forcing your brain to catalog what is present, which completely short-circuits that anxious spiral of obsessing over what is lacking.
Yeah.
You are providing undeniable evidence to your nervous system that you are surrounded by abundance.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Once you master that external anchoring, once you've calmed the nervous system down, the focus shifts inward.
Right.
There's a second list, 30 internal concepts to imagine. What exactly is an internal concept in this context?
If the external list is about observing the tangible world, the internal list is about creating the intangible world. These are mental constructs. They're better things you can actively play with in your imagination to deliberately lift your vibration and change your emotional baseline.
Let's explore some of these because a few of them sounded a bit abstract at first glance. Under the umbrella of abundance and health, there's the concept of imagining infinite abundance, just capturing the feeling of having more than enough of everything: time, energy, love. Then there is perfect vitality, where you visualize every single cell in your body glowing with vibrant health.
And agelessness. feeling the boundless energy of youth, completely regardless of what the calendar says. Moving into time and connection, there is the concept of divine timing.
Oh, I want to pause on that one. Divine timing. I feel like in our current culture, especially with social media, everyone feels like they're falling behind. You see someone younger than you getting a promotion, buying a house, and suddenly you feel like you're failing. How does divine timing counteract that?
By offering the profound relief of trusting that everything in your life is happening exactly on schedule. It is the mental practice of releasing the artificial timeline you've imposed on yourself.
That sounds exhausting to hold on to anyway.
It is.
Yeah.
If you can sit and genuinely imagine the feeling that there's no need to rush and that it is impossible to be behind in your own life, the sheer amount of mental energy you free up is staggering.
That is a massive weight off the shoulders. Along with that is harmonious connection, visualizing deep, effortless understanding with every person you meet, and synchronicity. This is the practice of expecting happy accidents to happen to you all day long.
The material also touches on unity, the realization that you are fundamentally one with the source of all things. When we look at the category of mind and emotion, the imagery is quite beautiful. Inner stillness is described as a mental lake, so calm that absolutely nothing can ruffle its surface.
Contrast that with the stress we usually carry. The internalist also brings up unconditional love, picturing it as a warm glow in your chest that just naturally radiates outward, and forgiveness. Not as a moral obligation, but as a physical sensation, the sheer lightness of finally dropping a heavy backpack you've been carrying for years.
Looking toward the future and potential, we find financial freedom. Now, it defines this specifically as the feeling of weightlessness regarding bills. It is the absence of financial anxiety, rather than focusing on a specific dollar amount in a bank account.
Right, because you can have millions of dollars and still lack the feeling of financial freedom if you were terrified of losing it all.
Exactly.
It also mentions unstoppable creativity and mastery, the deep satisfaction of being exceptionally skilled at your craft. But I have to ask about this next one, gratitude for the future. This sounds wild. It is literally thanking the universe for things that haven't even arrived yet. How is that not just delusional?
It sounds counterintuitive, but it's actually tied to how our brain's reticular activating system, or RAS, works.
Yeah.
Yes. Your RAS is a bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so the important stuff gets through. If you decide a car you want to buy is a red Honda, suddenly you see red Hondas everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that always happens.
When you practice gratitude for the future, you are emotionally experiencing a future event before it happens. You are programming your RAS.
So you're basically giving your brain the search parameters for the opportunities that will get you to that future.
Exactly. It's a profound level of trust, but it's also highly practical neuroplasticity. Then the text zooms out to broader impact, imagining global peace, contemplating your legacy, the positive lasting impact you will leave on others.
It includes adventure, feeling the thrill of a journey you haven't even taken yet, and laughter, literally replaying a future moment of genuine belly-aching joy in your mind until you smile in the present moment.
That's a fun one.
And finally, states of being. Things like ease, the idea of applying minimum effort for maximum result, security, purpose, and freedom, which is defined as the absolute ability to choose your own thoughts in any given moment.
That definition of freedom is paramount. It brings us right back to the core premise. You are the creator of your internal state.
So what does this all mean? We've talked about appreciating grass, refrigerators, and thanking the universe for tomorrow. Is this just a modern, feel-good, self-help checklist? Or is there something deeper going on here?
It is much deeper. What the source reveals next is that these practices aren't new at all. They are deeply rooted in ancient philosophy and historical frameworks. The author breaks down 5 specific philosophical blueprints that validate this entire approach to appreciation.
Let's get into those blueprints, because I think this is where the rubber really meets the road.
The first is what is referred to as the Isness. This draws heavily from Stoicism and Zen philosophy. It is the practice of accepting the present moment exactly as it is, without any judgment or resistance. The text quotes the Stoic philosopher and Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts."
I love that concept. It means that appreciation is simply you choosing a bright dye for your current reality. You aren't changing the fabric of reality itself. The traffic jam is still a traffic jam, but you are choosing what color to dye your experience of it.
Precisely. The second framework is the law of opulence. This originates from the New Thought movement. Now, for some context, New Thought was a movement that began in the 1800s, and its core argument was that our mental states actively manifest our physical reality. The law of opulence is the fundamental belief that the universe is inherently lavish. There is no actual lack.
So under that framework, when you start to appreciate a single simple flower, you aren't just looking at a plant.
Right. You are actively tapping into the infinite creative opulence of the universe that produced it. It shifts you from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of endless supply.
It makes everything feel so much grander. The third concept is fascinating. It's from a mystic named Neville Goddard, and it's called living in the end. Can you break that down for us?
Living in the end is a highly transformative concept. It is about moving your mind from a state of wanting something to a state of being it. Let's say you want a new job. Instead of hoping and wishing and feeling the lack of that job, you use your imagination to fully occupy the mental and emotional state of the person who's already been hired.
Right, because if you already have the thing you want, you aren't frantic or desperate anymore. You are calm. And by occupying that state, it creates a deep, quiet appreciation for the now, because you know with absolute certainty that the then, your desired future, is already secure.
It removes the friction from the present moment completely. The fourth framework comes from the teachings of Abraham Hicks, termed the rampage of appreciation. This is all about momentum. It is a deliberate, cascading flow of thought.
I read about this, and it instantly made me think of the YouTube algorithm.
Oh, how so?
Well, think about it. If you click on one negative outrage bait video on YouTube, the algorithm immediately feeds you 10 more just like it. Your entire feed becomes a nightmare.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you force yourself to click on a few positive things, maybe a comedy sketch or a nature documentary, your brain's algorithm starts feeding you more positive observations until the negative ones are pushed completely off the feed.
That is a brilliant analogy. A rampage of appreciation works exactly like that algorithm. You start by finding just one small thing you like, maybe the comfort of the chair you are sitting in. Then you snowball it.
Snowball it.
Yeah, you appreciate the chair, then the quiet of the room, then the sunlight coming in the window, then the fact that you have a free moment to enjoy it. You build an emotional current that is simply too strong for petty annoyances to disrupt.
You essentially outrun your own negativity.
Exactly. And finally, the text brings in a concept from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, amor fati, which translates to the love of fate.
This one is intense. It's not just about putting up with your life or enduring the hard parts with a stiff upper lip. It means you actually love every single aspect of it, the good and the bad. But how do you love the terrible things that happen to you?
By recognizing that every experience, every triumph, and every tragedy is the specific material of your life. It is the only path to your personal growth. You wouldn't be who you are without the crucible of your hardships. Amor fati asks you to embrace the entirety of your journey with profound appreciation, refusing to wish that anything had happened differently.
It turns all of your past obstacles into things to be grateful for rather than resentful of. It's the ultimate reframe.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the underlying message across all these frameworks, from Marcus Aurelius to modern psychology, is remarkably consistent. True appreciation is not a passive reaction to a good day. It is a highly active, highly deliberate tool. It is the ultimate mechanism for moving from being a reactive victim of your circumstances to becoming a conscious, powerful creator of your own life experience.
And that is the exact challenge we want to leave you with today. Look around your current environment, wherever you happen to be listening to this deep dive right now. Look at the room, the street, the train car. Find just one bright dye to color your thoughts. Maybe it is the persistence of a weed pushing through the sidewalk, or the warmth of your sweater, or just the absolute miracle of the internet streaming this very audio to you. Choose to be the creator of your frequency today.
It only takes one small observation to begin that shift in momentum.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a brand new thought to chew on. We've talked extensively about how living in the end and having gratitude for the future means your internal frequency acts as a magnet, drawing your desired future reality toward you. This raises an important question. If your current frequency of appreciation is that powerful, let me rephrase that. If your frequency of appreciation is that powerful, is it possible that holding this state could also rewrite how your brain processes your past? Does true appreciation not only create a better tomorrow, but actually have the power to retroactively heal your yesterday? Something to think about.